Save 8% off your order at TrueTechTools.com by using the Shop Talk discount code. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to HVAC Shop Talk. My name is Zach Psioda. You're watching a show that is just down to the last minute. You know, I was inside the house. I was helping my wife with the kids. Jackson had to take a bath. Typically, I give him his bath because I work, even though I do work from home quite a bit. Sometimes I'm out in the field, but sometimes I'm right here in my office. There are certain things that I always do just to keep that connection, and one of those things is give Jackson a bath. So tonight, it was like, the show's supposed to start at 8:45. I'm giving him a bath at like 8:20 or something like that, and it's just down to the wire. And then I hadn't eaten dinner, so just one of those things, guys. We all have been there before. You want to get stuff done, and it just comes down to the wire, and then you come into the studio here, and one of the connections is making a funny noise, because when you add 500 wires to something, they're going to have some sort of ground loop or high voltage wire run too close to a signal wire, run too close to a music microphone, whatever, and you're going to hear just the slightest noise. But that slight noise makes my brain tingle. It is the bane of my existence. So I can't stand it. I just can't stand it. I want to thank the people that are in the chat here today. I know something I can do here is plop the chat right up here and put it on the screen with me for a second. It's kind of nice to do that. Let's see if that works. Yeah, you can see some of the chat there. It's kind of small though. So I want to thank, let's see, we have Shylin Raif, maybe, I don't know, Jimmy Landers, some new guys here, Cannon Casey, some of the same old Cannon Casey. But we have some new guys here too. I welcome anybody to the show that is going to watch tonight. I really appreciate it. I'm going to get off the screen right here. It's kind of small to see that. I had a chat screen, but I kind of did away with that because you can really bring up the chat pretty easily now whenever you're watching it after the fact. All these live streams, once I'm done, first of all, they're made into podcasts, so you can always listen to them at work. It's the HVAC Shop Talk podcast. It's really the central hub of everything. The podcast is where I spend most of my time, even though I love YouTube. I came up on YouTube. I've been here for over 11 years, and I'm finally successful this year. The secret is just working really hard. No, I'm kidding. I'm putting out a lot of good videos now. A lot of people are responding to them, and good is not my appraisal. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or something like that, but I get a lot of comments, and I'm really enjoying the interaction that guys are choosing to watch these. Guys and girls are choosing to watch the videos and comment on them. We have a ton of back and forth, and I didn't get to load up all of the comments I wanted to respond to and bring to you guys, because it was just, there were so many different things I tried to prepare. I wanted to get a bunch of stuff done, but it just wasn't enough time. And hopefully I'll get to some of those tomorrow. I have some stuff tonight. First of all, we have some tool stuff tonight, and we can take some phone calls in a little bit. That's one of the things I was doing. My phone was about to die, and I can't charge the phone at the same time I'm using it for the show because it uses the same lightning connector. So that's just the sort of things that we run into. It's the exact same thing as like when I was in the field and we do an entire job and I'd run out of panduit straps for the ductwork, and the devil on my shoulder would be like, Zach, just don't put a panduit on these last few ducts. Inspector will never tell. He doesn't even check. They don't even crawl in the crawl space half the time. Truth. Sometimes the inspector just looks down and goes, yep, there's ductwork. Check. Everything's great. If the system's already running, they'll be like, is it cool inside? Yeah. All right, good. Put your hand over each one of the floor vents. You're good to go. Not all inspectors are like that. Some inspectors are really, 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 really anal. It's the best description I have for them. I remember a guy, I want to say his name, maybe it was Scott Hall. Could be Scott Hall. I'm going to use his name. Actually, I don't think that's it. I think I grew up with a guy named Scott Hall, actually. It just got jumbled up in my memory. And I remember this guy pretty precisely, except for his name. He inspected the beach area of Hanover County, which is Wrightsville Beach, which is one of our nicer beaches. Some of you who live on the East Coast, Middle East Coast, might have actually heard about this beach. A little bit north of Myrtle Beach. So this guy was to the nth degree. He's one of those guys where we had like a chase. This is a story I always remember. We had a chase where we had line sets and stuff run up through there, and he didn't think it was sufficiently draft stopped. So when you have like a line set or a drain back in the day, you draft stop it when it passed through the top plate or bottom plate of the wall. The top plate or bottom plate of the wall is like that double 2x4 you see at the very top, and a double 2x4 you see at the bottom of the wall. So you drill through it, you draft stop. And back in the day, you would use fiberglass insulation. You just put it into the hole and that would draft stop it. It wasn't fire stop, it was draft stop. So along comes this guy, and he wants us to start fire stopping all these holes, even though that the chase itself was open. So just imagine this. There is a square chase running up a couple stories, and like a drain and a line set running up one of the walls of the chase, and everything's open. And this guy wants us to fire stop when everything else is open. So that's some of the things you get into. Now, I understand that it probably became the code at some point and it switched over, because I know when we started it was all draft stopping and then it became fire stopping. And there's certain applications where if there's different tenants, like a commercial setting, you have to go even further. You have fire collars where you might have like a fresh air duct that passes through a firewall. And a firewall is a wall that is in place to prevent fire spreading within a certain time limit. Like you might have like a 1 hour firewall or a 2 hour firewall, and they'll put up like a double layer of sheetrock, and there's stipulations to it. I don't recall. I think it's like a single layer sheetrock and a double layer sheetrock, and that prevents a certain amount of fire spread within an allotted time period. Just somebody came up with that. And those are more stringent. I mean, you have fire dampers, which are horrible. Anyone who's ever used fire dampers know that they suck. And just they block the ductwork. They're a pain to set up sometimes. You have to get a specific fire damper. They cost a ton of money. And all of a sudden you're getting a fire damper and all this angle to put them on, and it's just a pain in the butt. And that's the inspector we had for a lot of those jobs. So he would be all over the stuff, even the stuff that didn't make sense. Sometimes we were just mad because we did something wrong or forgot to do something, and I guess that's human. But sometimes it was like, this doesn't make any sense. But there wasn't any convincing, because technically we did have to do it. It just didn't make any sense to do it. But whatever. It's like putting stud guards on the inside of a chase. There's no sheetrock. But if someone did decide to nail into that top plate, even though they could see the line set, then they would puncture it. That would be an idiot, though. But I guess you have to protect against idiots, because the world does have a lot of idiots in it. Then you have the opposite. The opposite inspector is the guy who doesn't even look in the crawl space. We had that guy. The famous story I have, and I still remember his name. He's passed on now. His name was Billy. He was a good old boy. You ever heard about the country guys, good old boys? Well, this was a good old boy. And I remember him bringing his dog to the inspection, which is a sign that the inspection is going to be done poorly, I think. Because when they bring the dog and they're playing with the dog outside, you've already brought a distraction with you that's going to take away from your attention to detail on the job. We were in the crawl space of this house finishing the job. My father had called in the inspection. We were rushing to finish the job before he got there. He arrived early. He didn't even look in the crawl space. We were down there working, doing the ductwork. Had he looked through the crawl space door, he would have seen us doing runouts. And runouts are, for those of you who don't do a lot of install stuff, are just a little flex ducts. They can be hard pipe ducts. They go from your main trunk to your floor boots, or whatever you call them. I call them boots. I don't know what else you could call them, drops or something like that, but they go to where your floor grills are at. We were tying all those in, and he just passed the job. I was like, okay, all right. Sometimes you have that. I just recently had an inspector on a job I was working on pass a job, and there wasn't even any ductwork in the crawl space yet. He just didn't even look. There was no ductwork there. I get the calls like the job passed. I was like, there's no ductwork yet. Because on this particular job, the inspections were getting called in. I wasn't calling them in. They were just calling them in. I was like, well, it's a miracle. That job was unpassed by the next inspector that noticed there was no ductwork in the crawl space. Oh. So Weaver Maintenance says fire stop nowadays. Yeah, fire stop is pretty much the rule now. I don't think there's anyone using draft stop anymore. You could use clear caulk back in the day. We used fiberglass. The idea was just to keep drafts from coming through the holes. I guess it's like a home performance thing, but now it's an actual, we're going to slow down this fire through this wooden wall. I don't know how good it does. We always use this Metacaulk, this red stuff. It was just horrible, disgusting. And then they had, was it non-intumescent and intumescent caulk. One of them was gray, one of them was red. I haven't used them in years, and I thank the good Lord for that, because they were awful, and I hated them. I digress. Let's talk about some HVAC tools for a minute. Now, well, not just HVAC tools. I should preface that. So there was 4 things here that I kind of set aside because I was thinking about these things. I was looking around on the internet. I was wondering what new stuff is coming down the pipe here. What are we going to see coming up real soon? The first thing is, it's something I've already advertised about because we have a sponsor, this Yellow Jacket, but they should be out now. I know it was May. I don't know if they're out now, but it's the YJack Mano. It's a dual port manometer. It's got the 2 hoses right there. You got your tubing, you got your static pressure tips, you got your adapters down there. I guess you can get your gas pressure and stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited about this because I have the other YJack probes. I don't think a lot of you have YJack probes. It's the general sense that I get because a lot of us are attached to the hip to measure quick. And I'm going to try to immerse myself in Measure Quick. That's one of the things I was working on today. I re-downloaded the app, and I'm going to try to use it with, I can't use it with the YJack because it's not compatible. Hopefully one day. But I think Yellow Jackets, it's kind of like Field Piece was before. They're proud of the app. They're building an app themselves, and they just don't want to give it away and give it to somebody else, which I understand. For better or for worse, it might be better to let Jim's Measure Quick rule the day. But, companies get proud of what they've done. They build something and they don't want to get part of it away, which I can understand that. Hello, Jeff Kuiper. Jeff Kuiper is in the chat. We have Joe Shearer. Ductless ductwork. Yep, it was ductless ductwork. It was the silliest thing I've ever seen. I told my brother-in-law, I said, hey, that was a unicorn right there. That ain't never going to happen again. I've never heard of something like that. Even with the guy with the dog, that's worse than the guy with the dog. Because I guess my brother thinks our brother-in-law thinks he's a conversational wizard. Because I guess he said, I just talked to the guy and then he said it passed and he left. I was like, that's never going to happen again, man. So just forget about that. And it's probably for the best that they came back and said, no, you need to put ductwork in this house. Because that is their job. And there should be ductwork in the house. That kind of checks and balances. Pretty self-evident that you need that. If you're going to have an inspection department, which we can debate, they might as well be able to do that. All right, let's go on to the next thing here. Navac is having their Need for Speed, and the first 2 of these are sponsors. That's just a coincidence, I promise you, but it also doubles as an ad. So here we go. Navac's Need for Speed is back. The Navac 2022 summer promotion. If you purchase some of the qualifying pumps, which I guess is it says NRP 6DI, I think that is, NP2DLM, which is a battery pump, NP12DM, which is the big dog, NP12DA1, NP4DLM, which I think is the 4 CFM battery pump, and the NRPD 8DI, I guess 8 CFM pump. And you get you choose 2 out of 3. It says a 3-inch to 1/4-inch evacuation hose, which is the NHB1, the NHB2, which is half-inch to quarter-inch evacuation hose, which is nice. I'd go with, oh man, I think I'd want one of both of those. But I do like their core remover too, which is the third thing. They have the NVR1 core remover, which I guess that is the one that has 5/16 and a quarter-inch, and I really, really like that. It says this promo goes from 5/1, which is a couple days ago or a few days ago, to 9/30/2022. So all summer long you can do this. And if you need a vacuum pump, they make good vacuum pumps, and the free stuff is good too. I don't know what I'd get. I want to get 2 hoses like that. I do have one 3/8 to quarter-inch already. I'd probably go with the 1/2 to quarter and the valve core remover just because I have a 3/8 yellow jacket, which seems pretty good. But it is nice to have those hoses that go directly to the pump. Since the yellow jacket has the 10 CFM digital pump. Digital. Okay, that's just, I don't know if that's a gimmick or not. It's a 10 CFM pump. It's got a brushless motor. I call it digital, but I don't know if that actually makes sense. That's just something people say. But it has a 1/2 connector and a 3/8 connector. So either get an adapter, which just gives you another spot to leak. So I don't see the point of that. Or just get one of each hoses, and that's on the offer there. So I could buy a different vacuum pump and get hoses for both vacuum pumps. I'm not going to buy another vacuum pump because I already have them. But you know what? It's a good deal for whoever needs a vacuum pump, that is for sure. It's really cool. We have Eddie in the chat. Sup, everyone? My brother Eddie from Tennessee. I remember stuff, Eddie. I remember where people live, I think. I think that was right, Eddie. I hope it was right. All right, here's the last one that's HVAC related, purely HVAC. The last one might tick you guys off, but I'm just going to do it anyway. I noticed this too, and I think I've heard people talking about this, is Hillmore has a line set cleaner. It is the, well, it says something in Spanish at the bottom, which I can't pronounce. And I don't know a whole lot about this yet. I found this picture just a little while ago, and I probably will revisit this. But to me, this looks like it's in the same vein as the pipe wiper. For those of you who followed HVAC school when they were doing the pipe wiper bit for quite a bit there, one of these things where you blow this little, what do they call it, a pig, I think, or something. They blow it down the line set to clean it out, like if you're doing a retrofitting job where you want to clear out all the old oil. It has one of these deals right here. This is the first time I've actually seen the box. So I don't know if Hillmore just bought the pipe wiper stuff. It's possible. Because a lot of times these companies do that. They'll find an idea for a smaller company to just purchase it up. I'm not sure. I have no idea. Guys, you also see, if you're in the live chat, I did get the Streamlabs thing to work. I was missing a vital step. So you'll see some links in there. If you're not signed up for some of that stuff, you can take a look at it. And if you want to, you can sign up for it. There's like live stream notifications and stuff. And there you go. Shylin Raif says, Jeff does a vacuum. Did you say Jeff? Oh, it's talking to Jeff Kuiper. Does the vacuum pump run okay off an extension cord? As far as the yellow jacket, you're asking because of it's a brushless DC pump. I ran it off a cord that I normally wouldn't use because it was already sitting at the T-pole where I was working. It's like a, it's like a 16 gauge cord. But whenever I was running this yellow jacket pump in the shop, because I was doing some of those experiments with the pump, it was running at such a low wattage because I had that watt meter up there. It was extremely low. It was like 100 watts once it got going. So initially, I don't remember what the wattage was, but when it's running full bore, I don't know. But once it settles in and reaches a deeper vacuum, it runs at a really low level, which I guess makes sense because the pump's not doing as much work. It's not moving as much at that low level. But it worked okay at my job. Now, that being said, the vacuum did struggle at that job. It struggled because I was having a hard time pulling it down, and I thought it was because the system was older. It had been through a few repairs, it looked like. But that will be something I keep in mind because I really didn't think about that when I was on the job. If a DC pump is going to have issues when you run it off one of those drop cords. And it wasn't undersized, but typically we carry something bigger. Like we probably carry a number 12 or something drop cord, or number 10. A lot of us don't carry like number 16s like they have at Walmart for your Christmas lights, even though it will be sufficient for the pump as far as the amperage that's advertised on it. Typically, I have something a little bit thicker when I'm running a vacuum pump. It's interesting. Joe Shear said, Hillmore did not buy pipe wiper. They are competitive. Okay. Well, I know it looks like a pipe wiper type of thing. Joe, maybe you know a little bit more about it. That's what it looks like, and that's me making an assumption based on what I see. But I thought it was kind of a neat product right there, which we'll investigate a little bit more. Maybe I will send Hillmore a message and ask him for more details about this thing, which is something I tried to do with Blue On today because I was releasing Blue On videos, some of the little clips from previous shows, And a lot of the guys were commenting on them, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit tomorrow because a lot of guys had positive things to say about Blue One, which is a good thing. But there's still some unanswered questions that are in the periphery, which may or may not concern technicians. Like, I mean, how do y'all make money? Just something we're curious about. One of the guys I know was commenting that he thought they made the most money because they were retrofitting larger industrial complexes with TDX20, their refrigerant, not the app there. So I guess the refrigerant would actually be making the money because they were saying that if they have these large machines, like 100 and 200 pounds of refrigerant a pop, then that's going to be like a big payday right there in the moment. So if you change out a machine, if you have a machine and you need 200 pounds of refrigerant and it comes in 30-pound jugs, then you're going to need 7 jugs to do 200 pounds. 7 jugs of that stuff, you're talking about, I don't know how much it costs now, but it's got to be about $3,000 or a little bit more probably. So that's a pretty big pop right there if multiple people are doing it. But if it's not being used on residential all that often, which is going to be like a mass market with a bunch of single can buys, I don't know. It just seems kind of weird. We were talking about that on the other show. I don't know how they make money, but I'd love to see. I sent an email to a Danica, which I remember whenever I worked with Blue One as far as partnered, like advertising partners a couple of years ago, she was there. So she ought to know the answer to the question. I don't think I've received a response. It's been about... Well, it was early this morning, whenever I came down here. So it could have been anywhere from I came down here like 6:30 a.m. So it might have been then or a little bit after. So hopefully they'll respond tomorrow and we'll have some more answers. If you guys ever want to try to get answers, I'll try to either call these people or email them so we can have portions of this show where we just kind of dive a little bit deeper into some of this stuff that we're wondering about because it's kind of interesting how this stuff works. So the final thing I'm going to talk about as far as tools, and this is a straight up homeowner tool, and I saw this earlier, and I'm not saying you have to buy this, and it's a homeowner brand that's sold at Walmart, but I thought it was a good deal because these Hart jokers that sell, I don't think I have any Hart stuff in here, but I have a few Hart tools, and some of them, they are bad. I mean, they're real bad, really bad. The Hart impact driver, and they have a 20-volt platform, kind of like DeWalt. It's 18 volts, but they rate it as 20 volts because they haven't pulled the trigger yet, sort of thing. And once you pull the trigger, it becomes 18 volt or lower, depending on how charged the battery is. So Hart has their 20 volt platform, and their impact driver is just the worst. Their impact driver is horrible. I tested the thing. I should have put the video up on here, but it's probably too long to watch during the live stream. I tested it, and it was like in last place. It was just the worst thing ever. Now, the regular drill they have, and these are the brushed model tools, they're pretty bad. They have some other stuff, like they have a flip light that I really like. It's like 900 lumens, 800, 900 lumens. I think it's awesome. It's really, really nice. There is their little shop blower. It's really nice. I like that one too. But their power tools, like their saws and drills and stuff, they've sucked so far. Everything I've tested has been bad. The Sawzall, super bad. Super ultra bad. It's so bad that I sold it right afterwards because it wasn't even worth owning. So bad. I compared it to a Makita brushless and a Craftsman brushless, which probably isn't fair, and then a Rigid brushless. So it really isn't fair, but it lost handily. I mean, it was way, way out of range. It's just bad. It was a very bad Sawzall. And I say Sawzall, but a reciprocating saw. That's how powerful Milwaukee is, guys. We use their trade names instead of the actual name. It's like skill saw. The skill saw was so popular back in the day, I still call every circular saw a skill saw. But here we go. This is the tool deal I thought was actually good from Hart. And it is 2 batteries and a tool of your choice, only $99. Now, depending on what tool you choose, I think that's a pretty good deal because they sell the 2 batteries now for $149, which is incredibly overpriced. These batteries ought to be like $100 or lower for a pair. No doubt. So saying you're going to get a free tool is like them being sold at a normal price and getting a free tool. So the tools that I thought were actually worth it, there's a list of like 6 of them, but it's a bunch of their brush tools, which are abysmal. I've never used their jigsaw, but I'm just going to assume that it's bad as well. It has the Hart 2-pack, 20 volt 4 amp hour batteries, and a free hybrid sight light. Hybrid means you can plug it in or you can use the battery. It is 1800 lumens. So I said, that's pretty good. That's a nice shop light. You can use it. You can set it on the ground while you're in the crawl space. You can use it in the attic. That makes sense, okay? Depending on its durability, that makes sense. And for a long time, I thought their batteries were just the worst, but I'm starting to think that the tools were bad, but the batteries are fine. And as time goes by, that's been proven correct because I've used the blower a lot. I have a couple of the 4 amp hour batteries, so they seem to work fine. It's the tools that have come up short. All right. The other tool is a pruning chainsaw. And although this sounds kind of out of left field, I did want to include it since it was part of the list, and I thought it was going to be worthwhile. Because getting one of these small pruning chainsaws, even if they're brushed, for $99 with 2 batteries and a charger, I think that's pretty good. And if you have some work around the house to do, or you want to keep something for clearing around where you're setting a unit or something, that's a pretty good little tool to have. I'd want to check it out, but as long as it's not horrible, I think that would be good. Okay, let's go back to the chat here. Nick says, just looking for a quick opinion. My boss yelled at me today. I went to a house with 2 systems. I walked by a hacked up condenser with completely exposed rotation wires sticking to the top. The conductor was bare, waiting for one of the kids to run up and grab it. Even though I wasn't there to work on the system, I put a wire nut and taped the wires, which I then tucked under safely. Well, I'm just waiting for Nick's next comment because so far it sounds like Nick did the right thing, guys. Nick did the right thing. And I'm going to go ahead actually and also switch over. So if you guys want to actually call in, you can. And I'm going to put that up on the screen here, wherever I put it. Yep, you can call in at any time here. He told you not to touch those wires. All right, well, Nick, I think you did the right thing. That's a quick opinion right there. But anytime you see those bare wires like that, as long as you were able to test and make sure everything was functional after that, and you knew what you're doing with repairing the wires, I think that was a good thing. I don't see how that would be a problem at all. That's just a safety thing. In fact, I would have brought it up to the homeowner. Says, hey, man, while I was out here, I went ahead and fixed this. And make yourself into a hero while you're there. I think that's a good thing. Yeah, definitely the right thing, says James. Adam says, yo, what's up, Adam? Guys, you can call in right now if you want to. I'll actually, if you can come on the screen with me. I don't know if anyone wants to do that tonight. That was one of the things I was working on right up to the wire here. So if you actually want to come on the show with me, you can do that too. Or you can just call in. Either way is fine with me. The number's up on the screen right above my hand. Joe Shearer says, anytime your boss says don't do something, it's best to listen to him. You know, and that's true. But in this case, I'm going to have to side with Nick unless I'm missing something here. If it's a bare wire sticking out of the top of a condenser, I think it's one of those things where, I don't know, it's like the Good Samaritan, not the Good Samaritan law. What am I thinking about? Like, say, Seinfeld, the final show, they were put into jail for criminal indifference. And you don't want to go into jail for criminal indifference. So go ahead. Liability. Yeah, it might be a liability for sure, but I think I would do it anyway, you know, because it's the right thing to do. And I don't know, that's like a test of character right there, isn't it? You face some kind of liability, even though you know it's the right thing to do, yet you choose to do the right thing and risk repercussion. I think Nick's in the right spot. And yeah, you do have to be careful doing that stuff, but I agree with Nick. I think you did the right thing. And I think at the end of the day, you can probably feel good about that. I hope you don't get fired, but, you know, at the end of the day, you can feel good about it. Let's see. Jericho says, Nick, you didn't do anything wrong, but take a picture of what you see before and what you did after and show customer. It will relieve you of responsibility, which I'm sure your boss is worried for. Yeah, you can document it. Hey, this is a good time for sponsor stuff. Hey, because I'm thinking about Company Cam. Yeah, let's do that real quick. If anyone wants to call in, you can. Let me get to the sponsor list here. I talked about Yellow Jacket and Navac already, but let's talk about Company Cam, if I got it right here. It's the only app every contractor needs, companycam.com. You document the jobs just like we're talking about here. You can document the stuff you run into on the job so everyone in your company can look at it. Everyone can see what happened. They can see that Nick is a hero, not a zero. So you go to companycam.com to learn all about that. Thank you, Nick, for that great transition into one of our sponsors. I appreciate it. EWCcontrols.com, all the zoning supplies you could ever want and love and put into your home and make you extra comfortable no matter what zone you're in because it's controlled by EWC. And it's reliable, and their tech support's good, which is just as important. TrueTechTools.com, use the Shop Talk discount code to save 8%. And you can go buy you can go buy your Navac pump and get your free valve core remover or hoses. or valve core remover and hose, and get 8% off with the Shop Talk discount code. Man, what a great day that is going to be. And refrigeration technologies at refridgetech.com. Coil cleaners out the wazoo. It's time of year to clean coils. I need to clean my personal condenser for sure, and the ones I'm working on that job for, because they are funky. They have a wide variety of coil cleaners, from EnviroSafe to take the fins off if you leave it there. Everything from A to Z, and that's at refridgetech.com, and you can find those at TrueTech Tools as well. Okay. So, guys, I got the number up on the screen. If anyone wants to join me online, I'll go ahead and put that down there in the chat, and I'll stick around here for a minute. And let's see here. If you're going to appear on the show with me, please have a camera and some way I can hear you. That would be the important thing. So, camera, some way I can hear you. Otherwise, we're just going to take phone calls. If anybody wants to call in, I'd love to hear from somebody right there. Or else we can just, we can end the show early. I talked about some tools, did some other stuff. I don't have any, let's see if I have any news items here. I don't think I do yet because I didn't have a chance to load them up. We had all sorts of stuff that was happening everywhere, and I just didn't have a chance to load up all that stuff. There's a new interview screen right there. That's where you'll appear if you're on the show. And there was several different stories. Let me see if I can bring one of those up, because I know I have some of those comments I can answer. But there were so many of them, I just didn't have a chance to download them. Let's see. Here's our comments, I think. Yep. All right, our video comments here. And let me see if I can go ahead and bring one of these up. And I can, I bet. All right, so I'm going to bring this up and see if we can't just look at it here on the screen and try it that way, because I think that'll be probably the best way to do it. Let me see, desktop 2 here. Yep. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shave this down real quick, guys. Ooh. Got a kind of tailor-made right here so I can see these things. Okay, so this is from Johnny Gore, and it says, I've done 2 residential retrofits, 5 tons and under. We're referring to the Blue One. One with a TXV, one was fixed orifice. Have had great success on both. It does run at lower pressure, and the compressor does run at lower amps. It has only been about 4 months, so we shall see. I did call the tech number, and they answered in 2 minutes. I'm very skeptical about retrofits, but we shall see. Both systems were R22 and over 15 years old. So there's a guy who actually used Blue One, and it worked out pretty well for him. So I think that's interesting because, we were concerned that no one's used this stuff. And there goes Johnny Gore here, who has actually used it. And there's actually another comment right here that we can look at. Hopefully we can see that really well here. Oh, let me see. All right, it says, what's the deal with Blue One TDX20, which is the video I released today. This is Thomas Morgan. Since I use the app for the manuals, they're not all there, but the TAM units are, which are the TAM units from Trane or American Standard. So it's quick and easy without the need to keep a library in your vehicle, which is cool. So these guys are actually using the refrigerant, and they're using the actual manuals on their app, which they say, I forget how many they say they have, but there's like a zillion of them. Let me see comments here. We had another one. It says, what happens when a customer backs out of a job? And this is Steve Knowles 1. It says, we always get deposit. If they back out, they get the deposit back minus the permit fee and any restocking fees. Now, I would love to hear someone's comments on this. Now, you can come onto the show and talk about it. You can call in about it. Do you think that's an ethical thing to do, to take deposit, and then if the customer backs out, you keep any fees that you've accrued? Maybe your $100 permit fee. If the supply house wants to restock, you keep that. I would love to have you guys' opinion on that. And let me scroll down and see what else we have. Tech's big mistake, cost company. It says, Robert Acree, try to sell quality, but when I get my clients request what they researched online, I just warn them about the problems. I ask, would you buy a Hyundai over a Lexus because it's cheaper, or because you think quality would be equal for the price? Interesting question. I assume Hyundai is Goodman and Lexus is Trane. Is it better to buy once for more or buy twice for less? It's a question that goes back ages. Now, I know, and I thought about this, and here's what I thought. When you have an up-and-coming company, like you'll have Hyundai, for example, they're up and coming. Their quality is getting better all the time, but they haven't reached the notoriety that Train has. So, are you not better off purchasing something up and coming with an increasing quality over something that's established where they're going to charge more? If you catch the company in the right spot, you have to be educated for that. Like saying, do you really think, in the grand scheme of things, if a machine costs twice as much, will that half-price machine really fail twice as much? I guess is the question there, or cost twice as much. We have a comment down there from Bad News Monks. I know a person that was doing retrofits at an apartment complex. I think they work for Blue One or maybe subcontracting them. Okay, well, that's interesting. There's another person out there doing that sort of thing. Let me take a look, see if we have any more comments. And this was interesting because this is a lady commenting. I think she was a homeowner. It says HVAC service, intertherm electric furnace. How much do you switch the furnace to how do you switch the furnace to AC? Thermostat, don't let me learn how to read here. Thermostat, you can't only somehow on furnace. Let me see if I read that correctly. Thermostat, you can't only somehow on furnace. Need help, please. I would say so. Need an English teacher. So on some of these old electric furnaces, there actually is a switch that goes from heat to cool. You don't use the thermostat. The thermostat just on and off, and you set the temperature, and the switch on the machine, and there's like a little electronics, like primitive electronics, relays and stuff, that will control after you hit the switch. It's going to send the signal a different way. I remember the first time I saw this, I'm like, what is this crap? But yes, you switch it on the machine itself, because imagine this, the electric furnaces are not up in the attic. They're not in the crawl space. They're in like a louver door area off the kitchen of these trailers. So just open the door and flip the switch. Now, I think that's a horrible way to do it. It's not a hard way to do it. I actually responded to her comment and told her this, where they're typically at, so she probably got zapped and she's going to sue me or something like that. The same way that Nick's going to get sued by that homeowner when his wire nut falls off and the wires rub against the chassis of the unit, but it wasn't grounded properly, so the cat jumped on top of the unit, didn't even touch the wires, but now he's in heaven. Awkward. That's awkward. Let's see if we have any more comments here. Oh, we do have another comment. Let's see if I can fit this one on the screen. All right, so this is from, I'll roll this one up a little bit. So Bob Bascarato. Bob, let me say that again. Bob Bascarato. 21 hours ago. Did you hire this tech at a trade school? Now, this goes back to a video where Steve Demansky's talking about the guy who stuck the screwdriver into the mini split head and broke all the blades off the blower, which is hilarious if you're not there. If you're like us listening from afar, it's hilarious. So Bob says, did you hire this guy at a trade school? They're usually pretty ignorant, and their trainers do not know much more either. Boy, Bob's really salty for trade schools. Beware, you'll be responsible for the damage. Warning. Wow, Bob. And guy responds, these guys need to be paired with an excellent mentor. Every single one of us started the trade not knowing much, and sadly some old hats forgot that they too started as a new guy and don't like to share knowledge to green rookies. So these two guys are kind of from different areas here. So the guy who screwed up the blower wheel, yeah, he made a big mistake because Steve had actually told him not to do that, and he went ahead and did it, which is a problem beyond learning. That's just someone not listening. But you can see there is two sides here. One side is the guys looking back from experience, and one side looking forward toward the experienced guy. And there has to be some kind of middle ground, because we can't have people at odds all the time, and these older guys can't think that younger guys can't do anything. They have to take their time and teach them. And I think sometimes they think that's not their job. And I totally understand that, because I worked alone for a lot of years. And I worked alone just fine. And when I did have somebody helping me, it lasted about a week. So I really can't. I can only tell you what I know is true, even though I might not have followed it. Do as I say, not as I do. You have to spend your time and have patience with people like you would have patience with your children, because some of these guys are not much older than some of our children. In fact, my son's 18 now. I'm pretty sure some of the techs are just a little bit over that. So you have to take your time. And you have to be willing to give up your knowledge, because you ain't taking it with you, and they're not replacing you just because you teach them something, which I think is what people think. They think when you teach somebody something, they're going to replace you, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of strange. I'm not quite sure. Air conditioning guy says, LOL, I know a guy that stuck one of those air probe thermometers and broke all the blades in the squirrel cage of a mini split. That's exactly what this guy did about it. I guess, no, it was air probe. It wasn't a screwdriver. I'm sorry. It was an air probe, so it's exactly the same. He wanted to show the customer it was cooling. Man, that must have been awkward. That must have been awkward. Juan, you caught the show, man. That's great. Hey, Juan, you want to come on here with me? I'd love to have you. Juan, if you want to come on here or call the show, I'd love to have you. I'm just going to tell you that right now, Juan. I'd love to have you. Look, call the show, Juan. Zah says, hey, Zach. Hey, Zah. Let's see. Shylin says, don't matter where you came from. If you show up to work willing to learn, it should be nurtured. But some stuff is dead serious, but that's life. I never really had a bad mentor yet. Well, I think there's a lot of good mentors out there. They don't make a lot of news. It's the bad mentors that make a lot of news. And what I mean is, like, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. There's people that do their job quietly, under the radar, for years and years and whole careers. Then there's guys who make a stink about everything, and they're all you ever hear about. So the good ones you probably don't hear much about because they're just good ones. We got Bad News Monk. It says, quiet. Quiet. On my evening walk, I passed a house with window shakers on 3 windows, and the Goodman condenser was strangely quiet. Well, it was broken then. That's exactly what happened. Juan's the man. I hope Juan, and I should have put it in the chat in case Juan wants to come on here. I'm going to put the link in the chat if Juan wants to come on. We can have somebody pop in for a minute. At least it'll give me a chance to drink some of this Dr. Pepper because my throat's about to crackle. Here we go. There's Ted from the Anti-DIY channel. Ted's famous. So, I mean, a famous guy in the house. Maybe YouTube will recommend this video more now that Ted is here. That's what I'm hoping. And all we're talking about here, we're talking about Goodman units being quiet, which is an anomaly. That goes right back to the, Cannon's calling on the phone. We'll give Cannon about 1 minute. Hello?
What's up, Zach?
Who's this?
It's Cannon, of course.
Cannon who?
Cannon Casey.
Cannon Casey from, like an air conditioning thing, or what?
For what?
You like do the air conditioning stuff, or what?
Yeah, of course.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It's 58 degrees outside right now, so mainly it's furnaces.
Yeah, perhaps it is, Cannon. Perhaps it is. Cannon, what can I do for you?
I was wondering what was going on. I was at a haircut, so I saw us talking and was kind of confused what was going on. So I thought I would talk about the Gree mini split.
Oh, you're going to talk about the Gree mini split?
The other day.
You're going to talk about the Gree mini split?
Yeah, the Gree mini split that I saw the other day.
All right, let's hear it.
Surprisingly, was not broken.
Well, the Gree's not really bad. I just kind of making fun, like I make fun about Goodman, except Goodman is bad. That's the only difference.
Goodman's fine.
Goodman's not fine.
Goodman is just fine.
No, Goodman is not fine. Cannon, you call this show to tell me Goodman's fine? Then I don't know what to say to you. It's not fine.
Here's the deal with Goodman.
It's not all right. Yeah.
They are really cheap for an air conditioner. It's like buying a Ford Bronco over a Jeep. The Bronco's shit, but people are still buying it.
Are we talking about a Ford Bronco from like the 1960s?
No, the new one.
I don't even know what the new one's about.
Are you not into the new truck vehicles?
I haven't seen a new Bronco. Well, you know what? I might have seen it. Actually, I think I have seen it. I don't know anything about it. But the old school Bronco, I thought was a beast. We're talking about 1980s, not Bronco 2. Bronco.
And the Bronco 2 was kind of badass, though.
I like the Bronco.
Look, the Bronco was cool, but the Bronco 2 was awesome in like 2013 to 2014 because you go buy them for $1,000 and they'd run.
Yeah,
$1,000 was just the price of them. That's just what they cost.
Okay, I know we're going to talk about air conditioning here in a second, but what is the Chevy equivalent to the Bronco?
The Blazer, K5 Blazer.
Is that what it was back in the 80s?
Yeah.
What did they have? They had a 350 in them?
Yes, the 350s. 350 small block. I think some came with a 454, but I don't think they came with a 454.
Trans Am came with a 454.
I had a
man.
454 in my Trans Am.
Oh my gosh, you're lying. What?
I had a 91 Trans Am GTA, which the equivalent of the motor that was inside of it was a 454, not carbureted.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. It was my great uncle's car. He died and willed it to my dad. And then my dad's cousin blew the motor on it and shipped it back here.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, so we got a car with a blue motor, and it sat in a garage for 14 years before my dad decided to do something with it.
Oh, that's interesting. All right, that's enough car stuff. All right. So the Gree, what's great? You like Gree?
I didn't even work on it.
So what do you...
That house is way more interesting than the Gree Mini Split.
What's so interesting?
This house had a mold problem.
Okay.
And they had a company spray a whole bunch of mold stuff.
Now, what's mold
Anytime
stuff?
the
Clorox
furnace came on. What?
What do you mean Clorox? What's mold stuff?
Surface Guard is what it was called.
Surface Guard. Okay, but that's just a name of a product. We don't know what actually is in it.
Name of the product, have no clue what's actually in it. I asked for the SDS sheet on it, and the guy did not give it to me. And anytime I turned the furnace on, the fire alarms went off.
What? Because that crap was burning off the heat
All
exchanger
over
or
the
something?
place and on the heat exchanger.
What's this stuff called?
Surface Guard.
Surface Guard. You put it on your Microsoft Surface. All right. Surface Guard. Okay. Surface. World's best 4G Surface Guard. Graffiti removal? That doesn't sound right. Surface Guard. Surface Guard specializes in disinfection and antimicrobial coating services to combat SARS-CoV-2 and the coronavirus that causes COVID-19. Oh, they're fear mongers.
Apparently, yeah.
We're going to give you the stuff or you're going to die. Yeah, okay.
It sprayed it all over the place. They said it doesn't leave a film, and there was a film all over the unit. And so because the smoke detectors were going off, the fire department showed up. She didn't tell me that they were connected, and they just started knocking on the door.
Oh, that is embarrassing. So did you have to explain that to everybody?
So I said, I'm assuming that the mold stuff that happened is producing some fumes and setting the smoke alarms off. So then the fire department brought in a thermal camera, and we're like, oh, hey, yeah, you're nothing's on fire, so you're fine. And I said, well, I could have done that. Zach gave me one a long time ago.
It's embarrassing. Would you have one of them Amprobe ones?
Yeah.
You still got that thing?
Yeah.
What's that thing called? IRC?
I don't remember, actually.
Oh, man, I gave away like 100 million of those. I remember I got a box one time from Amprobe. It's like it was full of Amprobe tools. I'm like, this is freaking Christmas. I know I'm giving it away, but I mean, this is awesome. Just to look inside the box and see all.
On that Amprobe ACD 14 Pro, that's a solid meter. I like that.
I love that. That was really good. I mean, it's not low end, but it's like professional low end. Does that make sense?
It's $164 for a quality meter.
I thought it was really nice. I'd forgotten about that too, Cannon. It's been a few
years.
years.
I use it daily, so I can't forget about it.
Oh, man. I haven't thought about that meter in years. Man, that's nice. You still use that thing every day?
I use it every day. I lost it, and I bought another one.
Oh, that's a trip.
And my old manager, who no longer works for us, calls it the Fisher-Price meter because it looks like Fisher-Price to him.
Give me a break. You're going to call the ACD14 Pro a Fisher-Price meter when the actual field piece stuff looks like it was made by Fisher-Price? No offense to them, but if you're going to call one Fisher-Price, it might as well be them.
He uses field piece, and I said, I would prefer to have this sleek, nice-looking meter rather than your clunky piece of shit.
Wow. I don't know. I thought the ACD14
I can't really
Pro
say
was good.
field piece is a piece of shit because my name's technically on it.
I wouldn't say that either because I like field piece. I'm just saying if you're going to call something Fisher-Price, it might as well be field
stuff.
piece.
My name's on all their stuff, so.
I mean, your name's on all their stuff.
There's a cannon in their logo.
Oh, my gosh. Do we need sound effects for this show? Wah, wah, bah.
Hey, that was a good joke, and you know it.
Friggin' dad joke for someone who don't have children. That's what it was.
I have a cat.
You have a cat. Oh, that's sweet. We're not talking about your cat, though. You got anything else interesting, Cannon?
Uh,
Don't lie.
let's see.
I mean, save it for the next show. Don't we dive into something you know is not interesting and ruin this whole relationship.
What was that unit that I saw?
Oh, good grief.
When did Train make microchannel coils
Well,
on their condensers? I saw my first Train microchannel condenser today, and I didn't know they made microchannel condensers.
I don't know. Ted was in the chat. He could probably answer that. Was it one of them ones with the grate around it that didn't have fins?
Yes.
I think that was...
it was a
few years ago.
2010 unit, but I didn't know they made them.
Yeah, there was a series of units I remember seeing that were they were cheap, and they did have microchannel, and I don't remember what they were called, but they have a Train stamp on them, right?
Yeah, it was the only thing that made me actually realize it was a Train was the model plate. I thought someone just put a Train sticker on put a Train logo on some other unit.
Huh. No, yeah, well, that was on our last show.
I was like, why would Train make a microchannel?
Hey, they got microchannels on their package units, like their actual Train package units, like the gas packs. They'll have microchannel coils on them. They've had them for years.
Zach, you want me to shock you with something?
If you can.
I've seen 3 package units in my life.
Well, you know, it's somewhat shocking because that would mean you do no commercial work.
I don't.
Well, I mean...
I just do residential.
Well, if you only do residential, young apprentice, then that's reasonable. Because in your neck of the woods, they don't have a lot of package units. I don't know why they do it here. There's no explanation for it. They do put package units everywhere on everybody's house. Mine had a package unit before. I've had multiple houses with package units.
A 1997 Goodman package unit, correct?
Yes, it was, well, I think it was 98, but yeah, pretty much the same thing. And I've had Train
I remember
gas packs.
thinking your package unit was as old as I am.
Yeah, it's old as dirt. I mean, it was still going, though. It didn't have any problems the whole time I was living here before, the house burned down and the side of the house fell on it.
The side of the house fell on it? I was going to say, why didn't you keep it then?
Well, no, there was a bunch of bricks that fell off the house and landed on it. That's why.
Oh.
It was crushed. It was crushing experience in general. But yeah, it was awful.
That was a terrible joke.
It was bad.
But my joke was bad. That was bad. That was worse.
I know it. I know your joke was bad. All right, Cannon. Final thoughts.
What interesting thing have you seen this week, Zach?
Well, if we're talking field stuff,
is there a new tool coming out that I should buy?
Did we just covered that before? I was just talking about tools. I don't know about that you should buy. I don't know what you are sporting now, but there was nothing interesting on my end field wise. I just did some duct work, which in a crawl space, no less, and nothing interesting happened down there. It actually went very well, except for since I'm 42 and I don't do a lot of duct work anymore. After several hours of duct work, my knees were fairly sore, and I decided not to do duct work the next day. That's what happened to me.
Look, I'll tell you something. I'm 25 and my knees hurt just going inside a crawl space.
Well, it's hard on your knees, and if you wear knee pads, here's the problem. Crawl space problem. All right, you go into the crawl space and you don't wear knee pads. I wear like jeans all the time. That's what I wear, and I'm crawling around in these jeans. Of course, my jeans are dirty, and I don't care. Even my clean jeans still look like there's like dirt on the knees, which must drive my wife wild. But I could give a crap about it. I don't know. It's just something wrong with me. But I crawl around all day. I come out, my knees are sore. Okay, so like, all right, Zach, let's get some knee pads. So I've used knee pads before, but those little straps behind my knees are more uncomfortable when you're crawling than the knee pads are comfortable for your knees. I just hate it. And I hate them being behind my knee sweating. They're cutting into the back of my knee, and it's the most uncomfortable feeling.
Okay, I think I know the solution to this.
There's probably a great brand of knee pads out there, isn't there?
I feel like you need to buy volleyball knee pads.
Volleyball knee pads?
Because the volleyball ones, they don't have the straps. They're a whole sleeve.
I could get like a knee brace. That'd probably help me too, right?
It's like, yeah, it's like a knee brace, but has a pad in the middle of it.
Maybe I get some of them Forrest Gump braces that he had on his legs, like they give to polio people back in the day. I can just use those.
That's on his legs, not on his knees, so I don't think that will help at all.
Well, that's the first thing I thought of. Use volleyball knee pad in the jeans. Yeah. Hey, Vito knee pads. I ain't paying $100.
Does Vito make knee pads? That seems like something to make.
That does seem like something
Actually,
they make. I don't think they do, but it would 100. 100 would be
I
what
would
it costs.
be mad if Vito made knee pads before making a tool bag you can sit on.
Don't they have a tool bag? You can sit on their tool bags. Trust me. You can sit on a tool
I
bag.
sit on their tool bag daily, but I also need to buy a new tool bag now.
Yeah, you see, yeah. Because somebody in the chat earlier was saying, Zach, do you even do field work? I'm like, hey, I'm putting up pictures of field work on the internet. Someone's not paying attention. It's not a lot, but I mean, come on, I try to plaster it all over the internet. If I work for one day, there's 50 days worth of pictures about it because I want the illusion that I'm working hard. So I put a bunch of pictures up. But I had my heart tool bag out there, and I put it on Instagram. And I was like, if you want to be a real tradesman, this is the tool bag you got to use. Because I just want to see people just go ape crap about it and be like, what's that? No Vito bag, man. What's a Vito bag at? I haven't checked the comments, though.
I do know that the Vito bag is the superior bag, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But also, I had a Husky bag I really liked. So it's kind of do whatever you want.
Well,
My buddy Ron that works for us uses a Hercules bag because he bought it for like $30 on sale.
Yeah, like I think some of the stuff over there is okay. You know, I've tried a bunch of stuff at Harbor Freight, if that's what we're talking, Hercules from Harbor Freight, right?
Yeah.
Some of it's good. I mean, but some of it's really bad. I mean, I got there, speaking of power tools, which I was speaking about earlier, I bought the 12-volt Hercules impact driver. Boy, it's bad. It's really, really bad. Bad.
It's bad?
Oh, it's real bad because, you know, what am I going to put it up against? My existing 12-volt impact driver, which is Milwaukee Fuel, which the Milwaukee devours that thing. I mean, it wasn't even the same ballpark. I mean, I knew it wouldn't be
I think you
super
need
close.
to compare it to the DeWalt 12-volt because they look the exact same.
I think that DeWalt 12-volt, that extreme 12-volt, that thing's going to eat it for lunch. I think.
Just the cheap one, the one that you get for free with the drill.
I don't know. I think it'll still whoop its butt. I don't know. I have a 12-volt Skill. Skill had like this brushless tool bonanza. They started making 12-volt brushless tools and 20-volt brushless tools. That one's pretty good, though. It beat the Milwaukee in a couple of the things.
Here's your problem. You're comparing brushless to brushed.
I know, but there ain't a whole lot of brushed available to compare it to.
You can find a brushed impact probably
On Marketplace.
I got a brushed impact sitting right in front of me. It's half-inch driven. It's Ryobi, but you know,
but it's 18 volt, right?
But it's right in front of me.
Well, yeah, I have an 18-volt brushed Ryobi, and the Ryobi will beat the crap out of it too. The Ryobi's pretty good, really. The older one. They're actually good.
My sister has enjoyed the Ryobi that I bought from you.
Which one did you buy from me?
The impact.
The impact.
That's the regular quarter-inch impact.
You bought an impact driver from me?
Yeah.
That's how many impact drivers I've owned, Canon. I don't even remember that. I
bought it from you for my sister for a wedding present.
Oh, wait. That's kind of sounding familiar now. What? All right, we'll talk about that some other time.
They wanted a whole tool set, and they picked a Black & Decker tool set. And I was like...
Nah, gosh, man.
I said, take that off your registry. I'm giving you a better set. And her husband now went crazy and has a whole bunch of Ryobi lawn tools now just because I bought that drill.
Hey, dude, I've had my Ryobi lawnmower for 5 years. And it cut my grass. I cut my grass all summer last summer with that Ryobi lawnmower. And it did a great job. And I have like an acre of grass.
On one charge, it would do an acre?
Yeah, no. Oh no, Cannon, it's not like the gasoline mower in that regard. I break it
Zach,
up. I mow
I
for an
got the
hour.
mower you're gonna want.
No, no way.
Go on Home Depot, look up Ryobi electric zero turn.
I've seen it. It's impressive. The batteries
Yeah.
are just, if those batteries ever catch fire, it's going to kill everybody within a mile or something. That thing is a beast looking.
I'm surprised Tesla hasn't made a lawnmower yet, honestly.
What are we doing? We're talking about lawnmowers. Ken, you got any HVAC stuff? I'm about to nail this thing shut, okay? Can't be
Do I
talking
got
about
any other
lawnmowers.
HVAC stuff?
Yeah, it had to be fast, too, because it's been an hour now.
Yeah, Ford Transit van. Man, my back hurts driving that thing. I don't like it.
I've never driven one of
Chevy
those.
van's much more comfortable.
The big one or the little one?
The big one,
Oh, so yeah, okay, not the Connect.
not the Connect. I had to drive an hour from Lawrence back to Overland Park, and it was like halfway through the drive, I was like, "Oh God, man, this seat." If you drive 20 minutes, you're good, but if you stretch it out to an hour, you're kind of regretting it.
I've never had a problem with E150 or E250 that I was used to before, so I don't know.
Yeah, I never had a problem with Chevy van, but that one died in a car wreck. So,
well, I'm sorry to hear that, Cannon. I'm sorry to hear it.
Very unfortunate.
I hate to hear you go.
Okay, I'll talk to you later, buddy.
Yeah, I'm gonna wrap this thing up later, man. Bye. Good old Cannon. Hey, that was a good conversation right there. I like to give Cannon a lot of crap, but I enjoy talking to him. I'm just gonna put it out there because I don't want him to go too long thinking that I don't want to talk to him, because I do. I just enjoy giving him crap. I don't know. I feel like he's my little brother or something like that when he calls it. I'm 42. He's like whatever he was, 17 or whatever he said he was. And he's been in air conditioning for about half an hour. And my watch is already... oh, look, a text from my wife. Chores need to be done. It's a family group text. I did my chores. I'm doing them right now, guys. Doing them right now. Okay. So, guys, I think that's pretty much all we're going to do tonight in case... Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to try to iron out some of this stuff where you guys can actually come onto the screen with me a little bit better. Tonight, it really hasn't worked all that well. So I'm going to try to get, and it revolves around electrical interference. So I'll be able to solve that problem. And I don't want to hear anything about grounds because I literally made a ground plug and wrapped it around some of these connectors and it did not work. And I don't know, maybe I'll get some Mogami cables from Best Buy. We'll make it work. As you guys can see down here in the chat, there are messages there you can click on, podcast links to, oh yeah, if you want to become a member of the channel, because I have to subscribe star, guys, but I do realize if you want to be a channel member, it's a good way to support the channel, and you can definitely do that, and I would encourage that, obviously, because I benefit from it. But also, what I do with the subscribe star, guys, is I take some of what they send in, and we have a gift card giveaway every month, and we're going to do that for the members too. So if you're a channel member, at the end of the month, we'll give away a gift card for TrueTech Tools. That's what we do on Subscribestar. Clint won this month. And let's see, who won last month? Greg Miracle won last month. So we'll do one of each now. So you can support through Subscribestar. You can do it as a channel member. And you'll get a chance at winning one of those each month, which is kind of fun. And I appreciate the support, which is awesome. There's some other stuff in there. Sign up for notifications. And there's the membership thing right there, which is just a coincidence. And someone said they liked the BG 36 field piece bag. That can't be true. I think it's the backpack one. So, okay, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I think I'm going to try to get somebody on the show maybe next time. If you want to be on the show, guys, I have that notification list that I send out. And if you want to be on the show, respond. I know we had somebody that was going to be on last night, but we had technical difficulties last night, which sucked because the internet was out for like 2.5 hours. It was a real bummer. Tomorrow, when I come back, because tomorrow is Thursday, I'll be back here tomorrow night. If anyone wants to come on the show with me, I'd really want them to be on here. I'm going to try to iron things out. We'll do it one way or the other. I'll figure out something we can do, but it's always nice to talk to people on the screen. I think that's a lot of fun. And I'll have some of those stories ready tomorrow that we can talk about as well. Some pivotal points that are happening in the industry. One of them was about like a Transit Connect that Carrier is actually outfitting with one of their Transicode systems, which are their automotive systems. So I don't know if it's some sort of cooler truck or whatever. I had a story about that, a few other things, and we'll get to that tomorrow. Ivan, good to see you. Clint's a channel member, and that's part of the reason why I'm able to do what I'm doing here is people that support me that way, and it's made it possible. So I really thank the people that take the time to do that, and it's pretty cheap. So if you want to do that, that's awesome. Weaver Maintenance says, for shielded cables, only ground one end closer to the ground rod in the system, other end back wrap and tape off. And I'll tell you what, okay, if Weaver or anybody else knows the answer to this issue, then you let me know. I don't know how familiar you guys are with electronics, but I have 2 laptop computers that are supposed to be working as show computers. One of them is the main one. It sits right below, right here. There's a screen when you see me looking down where the chat's at. That's where it's at. Over here, I have my wife's old HP, which serves as the interview computer. If you guys want to come onto the screen, although right now it's being handled by the same computer. Like if you come on the StreamYard and you're on the screen with me and we're talking, I would capture the screen from this computer with a capture card. I'm using what's called a cam link, which is the same thing I'm using for this webcam that I'm looking at to capture it and put it onto the computer. Every time I plug the HDMI into the cam link, the other end of the cam link goes into a USB 3. The static starts. I've tried everything I can think of, but if you know the answer, feel free to text me. You can text me right here at this number, 910-970-0043. You can send me an email at hvacshoptalk@gmail.com. I'd love to have some ideas about it. I can't seem to figure it out. I don't know if I can't use the cam link and I have to use a real capture card like the Elgato HD60S. Some of you are probably familiar with that, especially people who stream games and stuff like that. I don't know. I have no idea. Ivan Hall says it's not the backpack. The Philippines backpack is the one I hate. I don't know about the other bag. The little bag? I'm not sure about that one. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back tomorrow night. If you need to contact me, you can use the phone number. You can use my email. Anything you want the show to cover, please do. Maybe I'll hear back from Blue One by tomorrow. If you want me to reach out to any of these companies, because sometimes they listen to me, I'll be like, I'm on social media. I'm really famous. You need to listen to me. Some of them actually do. Some of them don't, but some of them do. If you want me to do that, I'd be happy to do it. And I'm going to get out of here, guys. And I'll see you guys on the next one.